In today's video, we're going to be doing a preview of the women's Olympic 100 meter, giving you some ideas of some of the big names within the women's sprinters and who you want to be looking out for, as well as a prediction of who we think is going to end up winning the 100 meter final. This is going to be from the World Championships last year in 2023. And this really gives a good indication of some of the fastest women in the world. There are some other names that I think and athletes that I think will end up being a part of the final that are not included here, but there are the main two, which are going to be Sha'Carri Richardson here, who ended up winning and is the current U.S. national champ, has the fastest time in the world with 10:71, and is the defending world champion. So she's definitely the favorite and is also the world number one. And then we have the number 2 100 meter sprinter in the world and the 200 number one and the 200 meter world champion, who is Shericka Jackson, who ended up coming in second in this race and has one of the faster times. 10:84 is her fastest time so far this season. Another big name that's going to be Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. She is a 5-time world champion, 2-time Olympic champion, getting a little bit older now. Fastest time she ran was 10:91. We can never really count out Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce because of how much she has been able to accomplish in the past. And she's, again, one of the fastest women in the world and is one of the most accomplished women in the world as well. Another one is going to be Julien Alfred. I think that she is, while she's not as well known, she's the current 60-meter indoor champion, and she ran a 10:78, which is the 3rd fastest time among women so far this season. And with the second being Jacious Sears, who is actually not going to be competing in the Olympics games. So unfortunately, she's not going to be competing. She ended up getting an injury. She ran 10:77 in the college season, but then was not able to make it to the U.S. Olympic trials, and so therefore is not going to be competing. So Julien Alfred is going to be another person that you definitely want to be watching out for. Another top woman to watch out for is going to be Melissa Jefferson. She has the 4th fastest time. She ran 10:80 in the 100 meter. She also ran 10:69 in 2022 and was the U.S. national champion that year. She seems to be peaking at the right time, so she's definitely somebody that's going to be potentially a top finisher. Just real quickly going over some of the other women, we have Twanisha Terry, who is a training partner with Sha'Carri Richardson, so I think she's going to do very well. We have Mujinga Kambundji, who was the 2022 indoor champion, and then Morey, who is a just long time, very good, high-performing sprinter. The favorite going into this and who I think is going to end up winning is Sha'Carri Richardson. She has the fastest time, ran 10:71. She's the defending world champion and is looking as good as ever. We could see her right here. The big thing is just going to be how good is her start going to be. So how well can she get out of the blocks, because she does such a great job of finishing. We have Tamari Davis, and then we have Melissa Jefferson here, and then we could see Sha'Carri Richardson is a little bit behind in this position, but then is able to pass up both women on her way to winning the U.S. Olympic Trial Championship. And again, this is where Melissa Jefferson also ran a 10:08. And so we could see that Melissa Jefferson isn't far behind. Again, I think she's going to be peaking at the right time. I do think that she's going to end up doing very well. Now she's starting to get more mature into her professional career and is definitely somebody that is going to be running a great time here at the Olympics. But still, I think Sha'Carri running the 10:71 is in a great position to be able to run sub 10:7 in the Olympics and should end up taking this. Obviously, Shericka Jackson is another person that could do very well here. She is not as good of a starter either. We have Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce here. The thing with her is, like, she had to kind of come back a little bit more. She ended up running 10:84 when it came in even second place within the U.S. Olympic trials. And so just gives an indication of where she is. I still think she's the favorite for the 200 meter, but I think that Sha'Carri Richardson is going to end up winning and is definitely the favorite going into the 100. The surprise person that I would say wouldn't be Shericka Jackson as much as I would say would be Julien Alfred. I think that she poses the biggest threat. I think that she's probably going to come in second, and she has a far better start than Sha'Carri, and she's beaten Sha'Carri a good amount of times. And so Julien Alfred is somebody that, while she doesn't have the strongest start, again, she was the 60-meter world champion. So in order for you to be able to do that, you have to have a effective start, and she's definitely good as she is starting off. We can see her here earlier this season. I mean, she's just killing everybody in this race. Didn't even have to run all the way through, and she ran 10:78. This was a little while back, and so it's not necessarily an indicator of where she is currently, but I think that she, again, provides the biggest threat, even though in the World Championship last year, she ended up coming in 5th place with a 10:93. And so Sha'Carri Richardson has beat her in the past, but we've also seen Julien Alfred beat Sha'Carri Richardson. And so it's one of those things where, and obviously Shericka Jackson beaten Sha'Carri Richardson, but Sha'Carri Richardson has actually beaten Shericka Jackson more times than Sha'Carri has lost. And so it's really one of those things where it could obviously go a lot of different ways. I do think that the women's is not as competitive as the men's. It's really those top 3, Sha'Carri Richardson, Shericka Jackson, and Julien Alfred to me. I mean, Melissa Jefferson as well could potentially be somebody in there, where on the men's side, it's a lot about Jessica Shane Thompson and Noah Lyles, but there's also Omanyala, there's also Oblique Seville, there's Kenny Bednarik, there's Fred Curley, there's Litsili Tobogo. So both sides I'm really excited for, to be able to see who's going to end up making it to the finals, who's going to end up winning. I do think that the finals going to have these top 3 here. We're going to also probably see Julien Alfred in the final. I also think we're going to see, like I said, Melissa Jefferson in the final. I think we're going to see Twanisha Terry in the final. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Marie Talu in the final. I also wouldn't be surprised if we see Mujinga Kambundji in the final. I also wouldn't be surprised if we see Tia Clayton is also a Jamaican sprinter who can definitely make it into the final as well. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of great competition here. Again, I think the top 3 are going to end up being Sha'Carri Richardson, Shericka Jackson, as well as Julien Alfred, with Melissa Jefferson potentially ending up in that top 3 as well. And I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. If you think this is going to end up being the final, or who you think is going to end up being the final, who do you think is going to win? And looking forward to being able to watch this with you in just a few days. We'll be going live for all the 100-meter semifinals and finals. I'm not going to go and wake up at 3 a.m. to do the preliminary and the rounds, but I'll definitely be live for the semifinal and the final. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.